We're now with General Sessions Court. Bill Pridemore from the council's with us. Judge Bell, if you introduce yourself, your colleagues, and then however you and Warner want to split up the work, proceed.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, Mayor Dean, Deputy Mayor, and Director. I am Rachel Bell, the presiding judge of our 11 General Sessions Courts. And with me here today, I have 3 other judges, Judge Blackburn, as well as Judge Jones and Judge Robinson. We also have our Administrator, Warner Hassel, and his assistant, Gina Fox. I believe she's back here somewhere. Gina Fox, as well as Tammy Toon, who is with our traffic school, and Bob Green, who's our Director of Probation. Mayor, we'd like to thank you for your support for the 2 terms you served as mayor. We also like to thank our employees for assisting us in our commitment towards administering justice as a continuing partner as we work towards a safe and vital community here in Nashville, Tennessee. Last September, we all were reelected for our 8-year term of court, and we have a few new judges as well. We've had a lot of changes that have been implemented since that time, including a successful implementation of the dedicated domestic violence court with Judges Dalton, Robinson, and Walker that are sharing those judicial duties. Community awareness of Metro's initiative establishing such court has resulted in domestic violence cases filings being up almost 14% for the 3rd and the 4th quarter of 2014. We've also, with the General Sessions Court Mental Health Court, Judge Blackburn, we've established a dedicated Veterans Court with the assistance of a grant. And effective September 1st of last year, we implemented a new court schedule, which was the first major overhaul in 40 years. This schedule was developed with input from all the justice-related agencies, and we're hopeful that it will result in a more expedient but fair justice. This schedule has been almost 7 months old, and we're looking into fine-tuning a few things. We're looking to get some feedback from our justice partners at our retreat that we'll be having next month on April the 14th. We've also updated our General Sessions Court website, which is viewable from both a computer as well as a smartphone. So we're trying to add some implementation and things here to make ourselves more accessible to justice. At this time, I also would like Judge Robinson to tell us a little bit about the domestic violence court and how that's been going so far.
As Mayor, as you know, we've implemented the study that the 2-year study that your office did as it relates to the domestic violence. We instituted that docket starting September the 1st of last year. I don't have any figures this afternoon, but I can tell you that Warner May, I left mine on my desk, but they were figures actually from last year. But from September the 1st until today, I can say that we are working diligently, and there's not a lack of business in the domestic violence docket. That docket was implemented. We have 1 dedicated courtroom that hears all domestic violence cases, orders of protection, felony and misdemeanor jail cases, and bond cases. We have set it up on a 3-month rotation. Judge Dalton was from September till January. I'm on the rotation doing domestic violence from January till the 1st of May, at which time Judge Walker will move into that court. I have to say that the volume of cases are still there. However, the flow of cases through the court, because of the 1 dedicated court, the cases are flowing through. The time of delay from arrest till the initial appearance or the initial trial date is between 3 and 4 weeks on the bond docket. And of course, the jail docket, as you're well aware, the jail cases are coming through within 10 days. If you have any questions as it relates to the operation.
No, I got it.
Okay. Thank you, Judge Robinson.
Thank
I
you.
would like Judge Blackburn to give you some information regarding Veterans Court, Mental Health Court, and if you have any questions for her as well.
We received a grant from the Department of Justice that began October 1st that has enabled us to really ramp up the Veterans Court. It is $140,000 for 3 years, which has enabled us to hire staff to staff that court. We were slated to have 40 veterans this first year. Currently, we have 58 that are going through that court right now.
So it's 140 per year, or?
Per
is it
year for 3 years.
3 years, and you're in your first year?
We're in our first year.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Well, just going for business is always seems to be doing well and going good in General Sessions Court. Last year in our fiscal year, we handled over 367,372 cases. Civil cases was 45,292 cases. A criminal caseload was 243,051 cases. And our metro and state traffic cases, 79,029 cases. Our clearance rate for the criminal caseload in 2014 was 99.4%. Traffic school enrollment was 29,028 cases. And 2014 new probation cases were 5,406 cases. So cumulative total of revenue over the last 6 years has been $21 million. And for our fiscal year, projected now is $3.5 million that we are generating to go back into the general fund. This time I'd like to turn over our request to our administrator, Warner Hassel, to explain.
Yes, our first priority in improvement items are miscellaneous type of improvements, one of which is for dues increase that occurred for the first time in several years by the General Sessions Judges Conference. So we're asking for $2,200 to cover that dues increase. That's roughly about $200 per judge. The traffic school educational supplies is for defensive driving materials, as well as to help some on the cost for the online traffic school, $12,500. We've had to absorb that cost in other areas of the court's budget to cover that over the last couple of years. Interpretation services, including ADA, we get a wave of those that are unannounced. You never know when that happens, but it's involving the people with hard of hearing issues, and we must have absorbed that cost when that does occur. That's for $2,500. Copier printer rental for $10,000. That's a cost that we've absorbed in other areas of our budget before, but it hinders us in other areas when we do have to rob Peter to pay Paul there. The annual maintenance contract for digital recording in the PA system, we currently are operating without a maintenance agreement. As a result, whenever we do have to contact the Jefferson Audiovisual Systems, the vendor for our digital recording, the cost is quite expensive for time and materials, and the turnaround time is quite lengthy sometimes when you don't have a regular maintenance agreement. The next item is TBI access to the NCIC database. This would be for the benefit of doing background checks for DV offenders as well as offenders that are on probation. So those all together is roughly $35,000. The second item is in-courtroom security. A couple of years ago, we lost a vacant in-courtroom security position due to budget reductions, and the cost for that is $52,400, both for salary and benefits. The next item is CLE for judges. We've been absorbing the cost for the judges going to their annual conference each year for the last few years, and we weren't aware of a statute that said that counties should cover the cost for judges going to their annual conference. For the last several years, the judges have paid this out of pocket. We've paid the registration, but the cost for
What the statute says, we should or we shall?
shall, it's a shall. And like I said, I wasn't aware of that. But one of the leaders of the conference brought it to our attention. And the same thing for judicial commissioners. There's a separate statute that dealt with that. The judicial commissioners have an annual conference that's administered by their association. And they're required to get 12 hours of CLE each year. And that cost is $4,500 for the judicial commissioners. I wasn't aware of that statute either. The next item is a social worker for Veterans Court to handle the case management services for the veterans in this court. They do have some existing resources, but it's not enough to, from what I understand, to handle the caseload work of handling the increasing number of veterans coming to the Veterans Court. A social worker position for mental health court, that would be providing clinical services for 30 hours per week for the mental health court. We have a category probation support for mental health court and veterans court, but we've been able to, we're withdrawing that request from the table. The probation will be able to handle that with existing resources. That was $56,900, so we're withdrawing that request. The judge's annual salary increase, this is an item that comes up every year. Per the Metro Charter, the Sessions judges' salaries are to be the same as the circuit judge salary. We've got a bill before the legislature. It's already passed the full Senate. That's an authorization bill that would allow Metro to impose a litigation tax to help offset the cost of judges' salary increases. Under current state law, Metro is the only county that's not authorized to do so. When the statute first passed back in 1990, I think Shelby and Davidson both were exempt, but Shelby had that exemption removed about 10 years ago. So it's passed the Senate. It's in House Finance, Ways and Means Committee this week, but every committee it's been before in the House, it's passed unanimously. So assuming it does pass both houses, signed by the governor, the next step would be a local ordinance to be introduced here in Metro. And the last item, cable TV services for court offices. We've been advised that Metro will be billing agencies later, I think, next fiscal year concerning coverage, cable TV coverage for basic TV, and that's $2,300.
Cable TV for court officers?
For court offices, for judges' offices.
All right. Got it? You got any questions?
And what are we going to do on the litigation task? What's the recommendation going to be? It authorizes up to a certain amount, doesn't it?
Yes, it goes up to $6, and in certain circumstances can go above $6. But that's to go into the general fund, a dedicated purpose to cover this.
And if we did the full $6, that would generate,
somewhere over $200,000.
Questions? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Understand it, and we'll do our best. Thanks.
Thanks for your support.
Before we leave, we did just ask you one thing. There were a few things that we did ask on our capital budget request, and I know that they've been asked for just a few times, but just want to make sure that it's on the table. We do have 11 judges, but we don't have 10 courtrooms, and so we're asking for an additional courtroom. And one of the reasons why is when we have these dedicated courts, especially the Veterans Court, Mental Health Court, Domestic Violence Court, there are times with our teams where we have dockets scheduled at 2 o'clock, and sometimes the judge that's handling the morning docket may or may not be complete with their docket for that day, and we're having to move or displace Veterans Court and Mental Health Court individuals and defendants to another courtroom that may or may not be open, and moving them from one floor to another floor, or maybe to a courtroom that's right next door. And so we are asking for the consideration for another courtroom so that we can have more flexibility in scheduling and making sure that we're not having to displace individuals and defendants around the different courthouse, not knowing which courtroom they're going to be going to on a given week. So it's just a request that we're asking for as well.
Great.
And that would be $200,000.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.